From the View My Sports studios, it's The Breakdown with your hosts, Roger Tillis and Chuck Olesker.
Today's guest on The Breakdown, he was a kicker at Montclair State and currently kicks for the AFL Jacksonville Sharks. Welcome, Marco Capozzoli. Oh, man, nice. That never, ever gets old. I could watch that and get goosebumps every time I watch it.
It's amazing.
I tell you, that is fantastic. We'll talk about that here in a second. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining The Breakdown. I'm your host, Roger Tillis, here with the illustrious Chuck Olesker, engineer and co-host extraordinaire. We are joined today on this edition by Marco Capozzoli. He is the place kicker for the Jacksonville Sharks of the Arena Football League. As you just saw in the intro, not just a kicker, but one hell of a kicker.
That's right.
I can tell you that. We're going to get into all kinds of great stuff today. Now, this is not a show today about just kicking. This is not about just recruiting as a kicker. This is a special journey, if you will, that Marco got to go on. He came into sports late in his life as far as football goes. I mean, he was in sports, but he was new to football. And he found a path to success, to get into college, to go into the pros, et cetera, et cetera. It's been a fantastic journey. We're going to talk about his journey. We're going to talk about the do's and don'ts, some helpful tips, obviously, to all of you out there, the athletes and the parents. And that's what we're going to do, get into the recruiting aspect, as the show is, The Breakdown, Recruiting Simplified. So I got to tell you, backing up Marco to that kick. Now, you've probably talked about this 1,000 times or more. I mean, come on, tell us. I mean, what were you feeling? Take us through the moment, if you would.
Throughout the game, Roger, we were playing well all game, and then it came down to the second half, and we just weren't putting the points away to actually finish off Georgia, and they always gave us problems. But I had a feeling that it was going to come down to a field goal, and Bobby Sewell, my roommate last year, came over to me, and he said, Cap, you know you got this. And I said, I know it, my man. And that's all I really needed. He just sort of put it back in my head that don't stress it. This is what we do every day. We practice for this time, and just enjoy it. So, and that's what I did. I just went out there and just trusted my stuff, and thank God God was with me. I got it done.
I tell you what, and trusted you did. I mean, that, and for those of you that don't understand or have not watched arena ball, this ain't like kicking out on the open field, where you've got the whole side of the barn to kick a ball through. I mean, you literally are threading a needle. Yes, it's indoors, and a lot of people think, wow, you're in a perfect environment. But the problem is you only got like 3 guys blocking for you, and everybody else on the other side of the line is coming to, get in there. And, boy, get in there, do they, even with good blocking. So it's a quick kick, and the fact is you are threading the needle. The space is about this wide that you got to kick it from. And now, again, every time I tell the story, the distance grows. I think we're up to 61 yards that it was. But in all actuality, I think, 52, 53 yards?
I think it was a 53-yarder.
Yeah, on the books. See, 52, 53. You can tell he's a kicker. 53. Always go with the higher number.
Right.
Always go with the higher number. Well, I had the luxury of actually being at that game. And not only at the game watching the kick, I was literally right under the goalpost watching that ball come through. And the moment it came through, I mean, it was just, I think I even spilled beer, and I never spill a beer in a game, But that was a fantastic moment. But one of the many things that athletes get to enjoy is that moment of victory. And making the kick was a victory, but the fact is the kick sealed the deal for the victory of the game,
right.
The win. So that was outstanding. By the way, I got to say something. I'm sure you guys are like adjusting the knobs on your TVs or computers wondering what in the hell is wrong with the color. What he couldn't possibly have that on as a shirt. Yes, this is the only Hawaiian shirt that I own, and it is in honor of the first week of June, of course, today being the first show of June for us, and it is summertime. It is vacation time, and we want to congratulate all of the seniors out there that are graduating and going through the process. It is a fantastic time, and you should enjoy it. And believe me, all of a sudden you're going to be looking over your shoulder thinking, wow, where did that go, man?
Exactly.
And yes, I did have to sneak out of the house with this shirt because there's no way my wife would let me wear this thing. So, hey, everybody needs a Hawaiian shirt in the closet for that occasional luau that you have to go to once every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So, hey, the thing still fits. That's all I'm happy about. All right, now we got that mess out of the way. So, all right, well, we're going to jump right into some questions for Marco. Again, let him share some of his journey, some of the things that worked for him. Now, Marco, we talk about football and whatnot. Now, you didn't even start playing football till what? Your senior year?
Senior year of high school, yep.
Tell us how that happened. I mean, because what did you do before football? You were a soccer guy, right?
I was a soccer guy, yeah. My whole life playing soccer and baseball were my top 2 sports.
Now, what about? Now I heard tennis. I thought you weren't you real good. That's for another show, folks. We'll talk about that. There's a little inside play there. We'll get into that later. Okay, go ahead.
Soccer and baseball were my life growing up. Every day I had a soccer ball. I'd wake up with a soccer ball, spend all day with it. But I always wanted to play football, but I was always too small to do it. My parents would never let me. And in Jersey, soccer and football are the same season, so I never had the opportunity to do it because I wasn't giving up soccer.
I'm sorry, let me interrupt. How big were you in high school? Because you're a pretty good-sized fella now. I mean, you're not a lineman, but you're pretty
I'll put it this
size.
way: when they put a 45-pound plate on each side, I looked at them and I tried to unrack it and it came right down. I was about $150 at that.
Nice.
6 foot, $150 in high school, so it wasn't. I was the guy when you walked in the locker room at that point. Oh, that's the kicker. Yeah. That was me then. Nice. And from that point on, I said that'll never happen again. So,
all you kickers out there that get a bad rap, it's true. That's right. It is true. Okay, so you're in high school again. Now, is this going into your senior year? I mean, was it the spring?
Well, it was actually.
How did all that work?
When was it? It was my junior year going into my senior year. I was in gym class and just messing around. We were on the football field hitting field goals after class. And our gym teacher was one of the assistant coaches for the football team.
Gotcha.
And he said, "Hey man, Andrew Giuliani, Mayor Giuliani's son, is graduating. He was the place kicker at St. Joe's in New Jersey." And he was like, "We're looking for somebody. What do you think?" And I thought, wow, this could be my opportunity to finally suit up and play football for a year. I didn't think anything more of it. I thought it was going to be a 1-year thing and then move on to college and just go on that way. And I spoke about it with my parents and my close friends and thought that it was a great opportunity. I enjoyed soccer, but I knew that wasn't going anywhere in terms of the dedication that I'd have to put forward to continue on to the next level in soccer. I just didn't have it in me anymore to do that. Football, then I sort of just caught the ground running. I just went and sort of learned soccer. Yeah, that too. But yeah, I just kind of learned kicking because the kicking style is so much different from soccer to football, and you wouldn't think so. There's little things that are similar, but you have to learn the technique and to stay controlled. And I went to summer camp with the team and enjoyed it, and then I haven't looked back since.
Now how far? Well, I mean, because and you hear about these stories. They even put it in movies. Where the kicker pops out there, and all of a sudden they're drilling 60-yarders, and they're like, "Whoa!" I mean, what kind of talent did you have at the very beginning when you were knocking balls through? I mean,
I was hitting 30, 35-yard field goals smooth, but they weren't looking as they should. High, good rotation, down the middle. But our kicking coach, Lenny Davis, the first guy that gave me a shot, he said, "You have what it takes. You just need to fine-tune it." He's like, "You're a diamond in the rough. Just now listen to these basic steps, practice it, and see where it takes you." And that's what I kind of did. And I really didn't have any coaching in the beginning besides Lenny D. And he stuck with me. He was strictly a kicking coach. And I didn't punt in high school or kickoff. I was strictly extra points and field goals.
Boy, you don't see that much at the high school level where it's just, I mean, some programs do, but I'd say more not than do.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is absolutely. Now, the thing is, now you said what? Again, we know not tennis. What else was it that you played besides
soccer? And baseball.
Baseball. Now, what about baseball? I mean, was that,
It was a passion of mine. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't something that I saw myself doing. baseball at the next level takes huge levels of commitment and talent. And I'm the first to admit that I wasn't the best at it. I gave my heart and put everything into it, but it just wasn't my sport. I just looked for something. I was basically just playing sports to do something on the side, and and that's what it was. I was more of an academic guy, just knew where I wanted to go academic wise. I knew I wanted to go to law school after college.
Academics.
It was kind of like you always know sports are going to end one day. As long as you could enjoy it while you can, that's what I wanted to do. So,
boy, and you just hit the nail right on the head. And of course, our business is about recruiting assistants and trying to give good direction, but it goes beyond that because we're out there for the kids. We're out there for the parents to help them sort through this process. And Chuck, you went through a little bit of the potential for the recruiting aspect too. And our message is there's a right way to do it, a smart way. But beyond that, you got to remember that sports are supposed to be fun, and they are out there for the other purposes other than having to get to that next level. I mean, it's competition, it's great, it's challenging. I mean, it's what we want, but it's okay if it doesn't take you to that next level. Not everybody's going to go there, but by God, that doesn't mean that if I don't get to the next level, sports suck. Right. It's not fun. Have the fun parts. And as Marco stated, look beyond the sport, especially in school and college and high school. Take advantage of all the academic aspects. I know it's easier said than done, but, Marco's a great example. I believe now, even while you're playing ball, you've been attending law school, and not just attending getting by. I mean, you're taking it serious. I mean, you're actually doing pretty darn well.
Yeah.
So, that's commitment, but being able to condition yourself for that. Yes, go in with your attitude, if sports is what you want to do, and if you want to get into college and compete at that level, that's great. But put that same commitment into the afterlife of sports. What do they say? You're one play away from not playing anymore, right. Be it injury or maybe you just change your mind or whatever the case may be. Yeah. Have something else behind that sport aspect, and that's the reality of it. Not always fun, but I tell you what, not too shabby being able to become an attorney, go to school and, or take that law degree and apply it somewhere. I mean, it's great to know what direction you want to go. So that's a great lesson for the kids out there and for the parents that are trying to guide them. It's not all about the athleticism. Now, as far as the kicking, okay, and I want to go back a little more to the high school aspect. So you get in there, you start kicking, you start enjoying the game. I mean, it's not like you didn't know what football was. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously you followed the sport, you liked it. Now, I've seen you on the field during the arena games, and it's great because it was almost kind of a joke, although I dig it. Anybody who goes down full throttle and will take someone out, I mean, because that's my mentality, although I'm not a kicker, So seeing Marco out on the field, level these guys running full tilt with the ball is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Now, were you like that at the high school? I know you're only $150, but what the body and the mind don't always connect. That's right. Guys, we all understand that anyway. But the fact is, I mean, did you have that I'm going to drill you mentality? Were you even allowed to during the high school?
No, I can't say I did. I'd like to say I had that mentality, but I didn't.
I definitely didn't.
You're right. But no, I just strictly, I knew what my job was for the team, and I was basically just focusing on doing well. Our team was 7-time state actually, my senior year was our 7th consecutive state championship. So we played at a prestigious high school.
What high school was this?
St. Joseph's Regional.
Wow.
And we knew that we had to perform on the field. So I was basically more just concerned with kicking and doing my job to help the team. But anything else wasn't really a factor at that point.
What a great attitude, though. I mean, putting the team ahead of personal wants. And that's something that we try to preach. I mean, because in this day and age of, YouTube and Facebook and ESPN and all, it's all about the glory of the guy. Even on the team sports, it's great to know that there are still examples of, the kids putting the team first,
right?
Which is fantastic.
Now, you're following Mayor Giuliani's son, kicking at a school that has won, state championships. I mean, what kind of pressure Is there, for you, especially a first-time player? I mean,
it was funny because the week coming up to the first game, practice all went well, summer camp, all that went well, but the week leading up to game one, it was kind of the stress was starting to pile
up a little bit. Yeah.
But so we walk out. We had this tradition. We walked up as a team, 2 lines, holding hands. We walk out. We break through. We go to the sideline. Well, we receive the opening kickoff, and of course, Anthony Furlow, our running back, takes it to the house for opening kickoff. So I didn't even have time to think about what to do, you know? So I just went out there and I made my first extra point. And like I said, I haven't looked back since. I just hit the ground running. So that helped, yeah.
I imagine so.
I didn't want to wait there on the sidelines all game thinking about the first kick.
The first shot of you on the sideline might be you heaving in a can.
Yeah, right.
You had too much time to think about it. So. Well, now, okay, so you see what direction you're going. You see that, this is what you want. It's fun. At what point did the potential of kicking at the collegiate level ever enter your mind?
I'd have to say, like I said, we played for such a strong powerhouse team where I didn't really have that many field goal attempts. So I think I was 4 for 5 my senior year, and my lone miss was a 48-yarder against Don Bosco. I'll never forget it, our rival. Off the left upright at home. But I was 87 for 88 on extra points, I believe, something like that.
Phenomenal.
So it was our extra point. I was the leading scorer as the kicker on the team, and that's just how much we scored. We were a dominant force. But towards the end of the season, everyone just kept saying, "Hey, you're going to continue doing this," and I didn't give much thought into it until I put together a highlight tape and started training with Lenny D, our coach, outside of the team, and put together a tape, sent it back, and got some hits from schools, and then I knew, hey, there could be a future in this. So,
nice,
yeah,
excellent. So during that period of time, what was your first connection with a college coach?
The coach at Lehigh and Cornell, actually, those were the top 2 schools that were really on to me. I sent it out to a couple schools. Penn State.
You say you sent it out with like your film and stuff?
My highlight tape.
So you had your highlight tape.
I had a guy, actually one of the fathers on the team. He does all the seniors' highlight tapes. Went over to him. I had a training day on the side. Since I didn't have that many field goals, I had to put some on tape. So I went out one day with my parents and a videographer. We kicked a full session of kicking back to 50 yards, whatever we did back then, and then some kickoffs, and incorporated that with the game tape I had.
Gotcha.
Got that all squared away, and then sent it out to some coaches and got some hits. I didn't.
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt, but what time during the season was this? After the season was over?
I did the training session like that next week after our season finished. I got that done, and I was new to this whole thing. I didn't have any guidance really. My older brother was strictly academic, so this was my parents' first go around. They didn't really know anything. We were just going at it,
kind of winging it.
Yeah, basically just doing what we heard and going with it. So we did that, got the tape done. That took a couple weeks, and then we just sent it out to a couple schools. And like I said, I didn't really get that many hits because it was my first year. And even though my stats were really great, it was basically, well, this is your first time kicking.
Sure.
Are we going to be able to bring you in front of 100,000 people? And how are you going to perform then? So I got a lot of preferred walk-ons. I had a preferred walk-on at Penn State. My top 2 recruits were Lehigh and Cornell. Their coaches were at my house for dinner almost every other week, talking and everything. And
the fact that you had a good GPA, and that certainly helps.
GPA, that definitely helped. I graduated high school with a 3.9, and that basically helped me a lot. But my SAT scores held me back a little bit. I'm not a good standardized tester. Right. But back then I was stubborn. I actually took my SATs the day we played Bergen Catholic, another huge rival, and we took it at our school right before the game. We had our uniform on, our pants beforehand.
Out the door.
And, basically. So, and the window behind us was our field in the classroom that we were taking.
Nice.
So I definitely was. I don't recommend that, but But yeah, I think that SATs are for student athletes. Those are definitely huge because if I would have scored a couple points higher, it would have opened up a lot more doors. And students at that age, I know I didn't. I didn't take it that serious. I thought, hey, look, if you want me, you're going to take me regardless. But schools have guidelines that they have to follow. So, but yeah, so I got preferred walk-ons at some schools. Penn State was my biggest offer for a preferred walk-on. But after talking to my parents about it, we said, like the coaches said, this is your first year kicking. If you go out there and, excuse my language, shit the bed.
You're right.
On your walk-on, on your tryout, basically, you're stuck
done.
at that school, and you're not going to play football.
Yeah.
So we decided to stay local, and I called Montclair State, which is 15 minutes away from home, and talked to them about their kicking situation, and went in, met with the coaches. They had a senior kicker, Vinny Dauphin, and All-American kicker, who I sat behind that first year, learned from. And then it was my job for 3 years after that. And I looked to transfer after my first year, after I had some experience. But transferring is a whole nother subject. And I just felt after my first year, the bond that I had with that team, and kicking's kicking. A 40-yard is a 40-yarder, whether it's D2, D1, D3, whatever you want to do, as long as you're making them. The only difference is the fans, and you could get used to that. But yeah, that was kind of my journey from high school into college. I really didn't expect much, and then it happened, and I was blessed and just kind of rode with it.
I mean, that's like a dream come true. I mean, that's a dream come true for the kids that have started, from middle school. I mean, to have that. I mean, that is very much a fortunate experience. But it's a great experience to share with others. To say, hey, listen, man. If you really want it, if you've got the talent, if you take the right steps. And don't just sit back and wait for it to come to you, whether you are that seasoned, athlete in that position or a newbie. Good things can happen if you do it right.
Exactly.
And the fact that you had the grades, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, maybe the blue to match my shirt, but the fact is those grades can really open up some doors. Without them, you're just another athlete.
Right.
So,
and you're replaceable. Without them, you're replaceable.
Exactly.
So that's what it is.
Exactly. All right, man. I tell you what, good stuff. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into some more of the true recruiting information. Kind of find out where the parents' role was and some of the fun stuff. This should be great. I can't wait to hear this stuff. So anyway, tune us back in. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Thanks. Are you a high school athlete, a parent of a high school athlete, maybe a high school coach or a college coach looking for a high school athlete, or just a fan of high school and college sports? Then you need the ViewRecruit mobile recruiting app. It's got everything. Athletes can create profiles, including their highlight videos. They can use the Recruit Network to send their profiles directly to college coaches. If a coach likes your profile, great. You get a notice directly on your mobile device and receive an email to boot. College coaches can receive updates directly on their devices and use the search function to find the talent that fits their program. Whether you're an athlete or a college coach, it's like having your very own recruiting department right at your fingertips. Download the ViewRecruit app now on iTunes for your iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch. Be part of the #1 high school athletics and college coaching network. Get it today, the ViewRecruit mobile recruiting app. So, what in the hell? Thanks, Chuck. Thanks a lot.
That's what I'm here for, baby. That's what I'm here for.
Love the, kind of like it. Kind of like it. I need a Corona. All right. Well, enough of that foolishness. All right. Thanks for joining us back here on the Breakdown. Again, I'm here with my soon-to-be ex-co-host, Chuck Olesker. And our very special guest joining us today is Marco Capozzoli, the place kicker for the Jacksonville Sharks Arena Football League. And that is the AFL, the Arena Football League. None of these offshoot minor leagues. This is the real money.
Yeah. Not lingerie football. It's... Sorry.
Okay, we'll have a. you just made me go blank. I had a vision. They need to really stop putting all those photos on Facebook of the players and stuff. That's Maybe we'll have one of them on a future show because they obviously had to get hooked into football somewhere along the line.
Absolutely.
So. All right, we'll leave that one alone.
Lest we digress.
Chuck, I believe you've got our ViewMySport.com Athlete of the Week to go over. So let her roll.
All right, thank you. This week's ViewMySport.com's Athlete of the Week is an outstanding young man, Coden Breckenridge, who kicks out of Fletcher High School here actually in Jacksonville out at the Neptune Beach area.
Nice.
And he also works with our friends at Proform Kicking to enhance his kicking skills. He's a young man who's doing it in the classroom as well. He's doing very well, and we're really excited to have Coden as our Athlete of the Week.
Outstanding. Great job, Coden, and we're glad to have you on ViewMySport.com. If you want to see more about Coden, just simply go to our homepage, click on the Athlete of the Week, and you'll be taken right to his profile where you can see his video, his stats, all the information that's needed. And, of course, if you have any friends that are college coaches, send it to them.
That's right.
I'm sure Coden would appreciate
That's
it.
That's right.
Now, and we talk about grades all the time. This kid's no slouch in the classroom. What's his grade point average?
It's about 3.7.
Shoot. There you go. There you go. I mean, we were just talking about that during the break, that, GPA can make the difference. You can, drop a couple points or be up a couple points, and that can make the difference between, several offers and not getting several offers. And believe me, there's nothing wrong with being able to get it done in the classroom, because really, when all is said and done, when practice is over or when the season's over or whatever the case may be, you're still going to class. So and to maintain that scholarship, you got to make the grades. So getting there is only half the battle. Staying there is the rest.
Absolutely.
So and God forbid you actually stumble into something that you really like, make good grades, and what do you know, it becomes your career. So keep that in mind, athletes and parents. So Now, Marco, you had a hyper experience, I guess you could say, in that, it was all so quick. I mean, you went from, I'll give it a shot, to holy crap, I'm, playing collegiate, football, and what an experience, what a ride. Your senior year is a ride to begin with, but you had so much else happen. Now, we talk about support systems and things like that, and the role of the parents. And as we all know, parents can be from one extreme to the other when it comes to kids in sports. Now, what role did your parents play? I mean, were they the supportive? Were they the driving? Were they the constantly, the parrot on the shoulder? How did your parents factor into your experience?
My parents were basically my backbone throughout the whole situation. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Nice.
No matter what I had going on, they never forced me to do anything. It was basically always my decision. They were just always there. If I had a question or anything, they were there to give me their input. They didn't know much. They weren't sports people. Both my parents were born in Italy, came over here, made a living, and they were just supportive. They basically just gave me everything they could to put me in the position to do well, and then it was up to me to do it. So I always knew, no matter what, basically if I had a bad day in school or a bad day on the field, I could go home and they'd love me just as much or be just as supportive and know that I could still do it. They'd be there to remind me, hey, look, this is one bad day. Tighten up and get on to the next day and keep it moving. So
that's outstanding. Nice. And I happen to know now, as you are now at the professional level, Mom and Dad are still a phenomenal support for you, although I think they don't like you too much going down and trying to make those tackles. I think their boy needs to simmer down a little bit out there. I had the pleasure of speaking to both your mom and your dad, and of course, I have a big smile on my face. I'm like, wow, did you see that hit? Yeah, their reaction was a little bit different. As parents,
right.
you could certainly understand, but no, that is fantastic though, because you really do. Too many parents are trying to be the coaches. They're trying to, force their kids through the process. And the kids already have plenty of that. They have the coaches. The process itself is a driving force. They really do need their parents.
Yep.
They need someone to give them a hug and give them direction where it applies everywhere, not just how to get to point A to point B in that sport.
Yep.
And I think that if parents will pull back the reins a little bit on what they want, a lot of them living vicariously through their kids and whatnot. I think if they'll just stay parents and do like what your parents did, be there for you, parent you, then they've done their job.
Help them stay grounded.
Grounded.
Because
Exactly.
when outside of sports and athletics, that I mean, there really is a core to what you are and who you are, and then I think the parents will help reinforce that beliefs.
Sure. Well, and again, that's critical. You need that balance,
right?
Period. And we talk about that all the time. Achieve the balance. And parents, you think, what more can I do? And should I get on the phone more and call more coaches? And no, be a parent first. Okay, the other stuff will,
it'll take care of itself.
It'll take care of itself. That's right. Now, speaking of your parents and the aspects of recruiting. Now, as like you said, now you had stated, they didn't really know much. You guys were kind of winging it. You knew that you had to have the video, and you knew that you had to get it in front of the coaches. Now, as far as making phone calls and things like that, were they leaving that up to you to talk to the coaches, or were they getting on the phone and trying to track coaches down, or what? Was there a lot of proactivity? In other words,
I think it was like teamwork all the way throughout. I know it's not as far back as for you, but it's still a couple years back. If I can remember correctly.
That's it. We're done with
We're done. Thanks for everybody.
If I can remember correctly, I feel like it was teamwork. If I had a coach to call or somebody at college to get in touch with, if I let my mom know, my mom, they say, is like my secretary, but she's always there for me. She'll do whatever it is to help me out, and same thing with my pops. So if I needed somebody to get in touch with, either my mom was finding a number for me or getting on the phone, but it was mostly me on the phone talking to them, because college coaches, they don't want to hear from parents. Right. They want to hear from the student, and that's the biggest thing. They want to hear from the athlete themselves.
I'm going to repeat that point because we talk about that all the time. Mm-hmm. The coaches want to talk to the kid that's going to be getting the scholarship. There will be time that they'll talk to the parents. Yeah. You'll get your own time. But you're exactly right. When they're in that decision-making process, they want to know what kind of kid that they're dealing with. So I'm glad to hear you, who've been through that process, say that, even though you did, smack me down with that age comment. Don't be a hater. I know you're looking at this shirt thinking, I got to get me some of that, but, you're just going to have to stand in line. If I had my leather helmet here, I'd beat you with it, so. Boy, that's another point. Okay, athletes, respect your elders, all right? Now, as far as your coaches, obviously, you were grounded. Your parents had a great role. You kind of, considering how little time you had to do this, everybody was designated. What about your coach or coaches? Were they playing an active role in the recruiting? Or were they just they're kind of like, hey, well, we'll help train you and all, but it's up to you? What was their particular role?
In terms of high school coaches, my Lenny Davis, my kicking coach, my high school kicking coach, he was very influential in the process, always there for me if I had any questions, but it was mostly about kicking at that point. The whole recruiting process, I didn't really have anybody to go to or anybody to really, besides other players or other teammates that I had, listening to their stories and stuff, but besides that, coaches really, on the field, they did everything they could, but off the field, it was kind of just up to me. And I didn't know. I'm sure if I went to them, maybe they would have had more to offer in that sense. But at that point, I didn't know, let me go ask my coach what to do. You know what I mean? Or something like that. But I think that would be huge if players have a relationship with their coaches. Definitely talk to them in high school. It'll definitely help because they have the connections that you wouldn't believe. So.
Well, and the worst case scenario is all they can do is say no.
Yeah.
And we hear, the stories on all sides of the spectrum, as far as coaches' involvement. I know just recently I saw some information where there was a particular coach. He had a lot of collegiate experience, so he still had a lot of these connections. They're basically his buddies. And so he got very proactive in his players' lives when it came to the recruiting aspect. So he was out there doing a lot. Of course, it's good for him because the more players that go out of his program, he's wanting to get into the coaching collegiate level. Whatever the motivation is, if he's there to help and it's legitimate help, hey, take it. Yeah. But like you said, ask. Because if you don't know until you get the answer.
Ask and you shall receive.
That's exactly. And even if it is a no, well, great. Now I don't have false hopes about what my coach or coaching staff is doing. I know that this is what I have to do. Yep. Luckily, there's places like viewmysport.com that you can go to and get information, and it's kind of like the recruiting library, if you will, to use. If only they would have had it back then.
That's right. What I'd be now. Right?
That's right. Now, do you remember, it's like one of those things like, where were you when? Your first offer, your first legitimate offer. I mean, what was it in the middle of the school year? Was it? I mean, at what point did you get
when
that
the colleges
first offer?
first started calling? I was actually in school, and I got called down to the athletic director's office, who was our head football coach, and he put the letter down and said that they were interested. And then from that point forward, I was every day hoping for another one. And all that, so,
and this was, and let's be real clear about this. You said a letter. Now then it was not just a, hey, come to our camp, or, oh, you've been selected, or we're interested. This was a legitimate, offer.
Personal letter,
personal letter offer in writing, because I see this a lot on Facebook, of course, on our company page, on the View My Sport page. We get a lot of, oh, I'm getting letters here, I'm getting letters there, and these kids, and they're just, they're flooding these letters. Well, the problem is they're mailing list letters.
Yeah.
They're all about getting you to the camp and trying to I mean, they just are bombed out through automated systems. I mean, it's fun, it's cool, it's great to post on Facebook, but there's got to be meat to it. And there is a big difference between one of those letters as opposed to a personal written real letter, from a coach saying that he is definitely interested and then inviting you for like an official visit or something like that. There is a total difference. Do not get them confused, because if you sit back on your thumbs and think, wow, look at all these letters I'm getting, I don't have to do anything to compete for a scholarship. I have all these schools interested. I'm just going to wait back and see what the best one is. You could be waiting for a long time. And I'm telling you, that is the meat of it. Yeah. And if you get letters and you're not sure, contact viewmysport.com. Click on Contact Us. Tell us what you got, how you got it. You can even copy the letter over to us, and we'll advise you on whether or not it's just one of those marketing pieces or whether it's a legit letter. It costs you nothing to ask. So we'll find out from there. Tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to shut down for a few minutes so I can smack Marco around a little bit, and we'll see what happens when we come back. So stay tuned.
At Marsh & McLennan Agency, we understand the property and casualty market. We use our technical expertise and utilize a consultative approach to design a risk management program that's just right for you. Some of the many products and services Marsh & McLennan Agency can provide in the areas of property and casualty insurance market include general commercial liability tailored to specific industries, directors and officers, errors and omissions, and other professional liability, workers' compensation, self-insurance plans, construction, fidelity and surety bonds, wholesale, surplus lines, and specialty products, personal lines including homeowners, automobile, and umbrella policies. Let Marsh & McLennan Agency help you identify, plan for, and respond to critical business issues and risks. For more information, call Marsh & McLennan Agency today at 888-292-9806. That's 888-292-9806.
All right, just making sure that there's no trickeration.
You should be busting his chops for the old man comment.
You see what I have to go through.
Hey, better you than me. You know I am older.
That's true.
That's right.
You want to wear my shirt?
No, I'm good.
It'll go good with your sandals and your white socks.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Well, thanks again for joining us back here on this edition of The Breakdown. This is a great day. Of course, to me, the official start of summer is like that first week of June. We love it. And it puts me in a whole nother frame. I'm excited. I'm ready for the summer, as I'm sure most of you are. And, of course, with summertime, how's that for a segue? With summertime comes combines, comes camps. Now, this is not just football, volleyball. So, God, I think every single sport, they have camps. The colleges take advantage of it for obvious reasons, because it's the only time that they can, carve out that niche to get some kids in to take a look at them, have some fun, and, earn some revenue for the program. Right. And I tell you, the camps are great. And I know in previous shows and other, articles that I've written and stuff, I tend to be very critical of the camp combine environment, because there are so many that are out there strictly for the money, strictly for the revenue, and it's big money. You figure, you take X amount of kids times X amount of dollars, for a day of hanging out, and, That's probably an unfair generalization, but all of you know exactly the type that I'm talking about. There are good camps, there are good combines, and there are horrible ones. Now, when we talk about the camps, of course, we like to endorse more of the college camps, those specialty camps. But even those can be just money makers, and if you don't handle them correctly, as far as a serious athlete, it'll get you nowhere. It'll be great. I'm going to hang out for a few days and test myself against my peers. As we've stated in the past, if you attend a collegiate camp or know you're going to be there, contact the coaching staff or the positions coach, whatever the case may be, and let them know, hey, coach, I'm going to be at this camp at this time. I would like to set aside some time where I can meet you and maybe get a quick evaluation, give you a chance to put my face with my name and see what I'm all about. That is the way you handle the camps. That's the smart way to get more mileage out of those camps. The combines, some of them are good. Again, some of them are a little flimsy. I would say that if you had a choice between going to a combine and going to a collegiate camp, I'd pick your college camps. Most of the coaches and former athletes that we talk to and deal with, they're very pro college camps because you can, get that time set aside. The combines are more about, peer competition and things like that. Now, speaking of which, Marco, and again, you didn't have a whole hell of a lot of time. It wasn't like you had several summers to go and do. You worked with a specialized trainer, a kicking instructor. Did you ever go to like combines and camps and all that, or did you strictly stick with your trainer and just, you probably didn't have much time because you were immediately going into college.
Yeah, that summer I didn't do anything besides just train on my own. I didn't even really have, besides my kicking coach in high school, I didn't have anything else. No combines, no nothing. I didn't even hear of them. I didn't even know those things existed at that point.
Gotcha.
So I wish I had. I'm sure they're very helpful. I know a couple kids now, a lot of the kids I train back at home, they're looking into them and they've been doing them and they have nothing but good things to say. And like you said, there's ones that you have to look out for, the money makers, the ones that basically you're going there just like you said on a free day, just spending money. But there's ones that you could put yourself out there in front of these coaches and actually open their eyes and let them see what you got. So.
Sure. And getting kicking specific, it's kind of rare that I'll necessarily endorse any one particular outfit. I have to know them pretty darn well, have firsthand experience, and I'm not saying that they're no good if I don't endorse them. I'm just saying that the ones that I've had exposure with. But we actually have one of our partners. And their group out of South Florida. Now, they're all over the place, but the group where they were running things was out of South Florida, but it was the one-on-one kicking academy. And the main coach, Coach Mike McCabe, who runs that operation, they have done a phenomenal job at taking the kids in, putting them through the paces. They do weight training. They're doing the plyometrics and of course the kicking mechanics and all of that. They really seem to do it right. And the proof is in the pudding. They don't go out and find kids at the last minute that are stellar. Mm-hmm. And then latch hold of their coattails and go, oh, look who I'm hooked up with here. And no, he went and played college here and college there. You see a lot of that.
Yeah.
These guys, they've taken these kickers from like day one, several years, some of them quite a few years, and they've worked with them. They've made considerable steps in their progress with these kickers. And they had, this past year, they had so many of them going to different colleges. D1 down. But these kids were actually working real well. Now, of course, one-on-one kicking uses ViewMySport.com as the platform to show what they've done. The finished product, if you will. Again, remember, ViewMySport.com is the stage. We're like the pencil and the paper that the authors are writing books on. Do they even do that anymore? No, it's I guess the computer. But you kind of get the message there that So they use us as the stage to network out to the coaches. But Mike McCabe, I know. It'd be late at night, and I'd be texting back and forth with him, and he was on the telephone with a coach. He does some of that old school grind as well for his guys. So there are some great programs, whether it be the one-on-one guy or whether it be a facility like one-on-one kicking. By the way, if you want information about one-on-one kicking, go to the homepage of viewmysport.com, click Contact Us, send in your questions, and we'll get you whatever information you need. But a great group of guys out there. Now, when you said you worked with your high school coach, and he pretty much, stayed your instructor. Now, since then, since you've gotten out of college and now you're at obviously a whole nother level, I know that you've had workouts, with NFL teams and things like that. I mean, did you take your training to a different level with either a facility or a coach, or do you call Lenny D, and have him come back out? It's like Rocky's old coach, Mick, you got him back in the corner. I mean, what have you done up to this point, as far as elevating your training?
I actually I heard about this coach, Coach Zahner out in Arizona, who's highly respected amongst all kickers, NFL kickers especially. They all train with him during the off season, and I gave it a shot. I went out there, spent a week out in Arizona with Coach Zahner, and he opened my eyes up to a lot. I basically went out there thinking I knew it all, and after the first day, I really didn't know anything.
And he's going to be an attorney. So that's a good fit.
That's right.
So, you know everything.
So, and he helped me out a lot. And then over the years, I encountered a bunch of coaches, even guys that I kick against at these workouts, NFL workouts and combines and stuff. They all bring kind of a unique aspect into kicking, and the little things that help them succeed and do well, you sort of feed off of it. Oh, well, he's doing this differently. Let me try that. And you sort of just adapt to it and see what works for you, because every kicker's different.
Sure.
And I'm sure every athlete's different, and no matter what position it is. But besides that, I really never had a coach besides Coach Zahner. The only other coach that I had was actually a good friend of mine, Brent Grabelchoff from Montclair State, the kicker. A couple years before me, he has a kicking site, kickingworld.com, if you guys want to check him out. A good friend of mine, he's out of San Diego, California, and he works with a lot of kickers, basically going through the same thing. He starts them from not knowing anything about kicking, and he has guys that are D1 offers right now and really have a bright future, so he's doing the right thing out there. So
Man,
good.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
It is amazing. We talk about trainers and facilities and different things like that, and it is absolutely amazing how many of them there are. And again, some are better than others, and you hear the success stories out of all of them. Now, me being involved, I mean, I understand a lot of it, but if I'm a parent and I'm sitting back going, well, good God, if every one of these facilities are boasting success and all their kids are going to college, well, that means that each team in the collegiate level from D1 down to JUCO, they must carry about 20 kickers on each team, because there's no, you start kind of scratching your head and saying, well, no, wait a minute.
Yeah.
All right, there's got to be, somebody is pulling my leg. This has got to be over marketing or whatever. And all we can tell you is look into it. Truly look into it. Research. Find out. Go on these websites. Google. God, you've got all these tools. And really look in to see who is getting results. Now, remember, too, player A could go to one facility, have grand success. Player B might go to that same facility, and they just don't click. It's kind of like athletes and teams.
Yep.
There just is a different mindset.
Yeah.
But then you can go to a different guy. It's like boxers and their trainers, and golfers and their caddies. And I mean,
it's all coaching styles also. You mesh with.
There's that mental aspect. So don't feel like just because it worked for one, it's going to work for you. Take the time to research, talk to the owners, talk to the coaches, go to maybe one of their sessions. If you're really that serious about it, go to one of the sessions and watch and see how they do things. It's an investment. You're putting time and money into your child's well-being and potential, thousands of dollars being saved with a collegiate scholarship. Take the time. Believe me, you'll be glad you did. Just like looking into colleges and curriculum and majors and who's got what. I mean, you got to look at every aspect, because, again, the sport is just one little thing. Now, it's funny, you talked about the size, the collegiate experience, and I mean, how was that for you? Because, again, you were just kind of getting used to the football crowd to begin with, as far as playing in front of them. Now, you obviously high-profile program in high school. You guys probably had what? How many fans do you think would come to those games? I mean,
We
was
had
it
a
like
couple
Friday Night
thousand
Lights?
every.
A couple thousand.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Every game we had a couple thousand. And then when Bosco came, it was standing room
yeah.
only at our
Sure.
facility.
So you go to Montclair State now. Now, what kind of crowds were you? About 2,500? No, I'm just kidding.
No, it basically was. It was a small D3 school, and basically it was family and friends were our support program, and which helped because basically at St. Joe's, even though we had a huge crowd, it felt like they were all family because it was. It was a
Sure.
bunch of families and
Well,
friends
you knew 'em
and
for
all
so
that.
long.
Exactly.
Right.
But yeah, Montclair, it was the size. It wasn't any extravagant, huge program and stuff. But we had our loyal fans there every time, and it was like a family. It was, and that's what made it easier because it was a support system. And plus, I had the first year under my belt. Backing up Vinny, so it's sort of I got to see how he handled a lot of it, and that helped me the next 3 years. So
That's outstanding. Now, this is a good lesson for the kids out there that it seems everybody, they got to be on ESPN. Or they've got it, the big money, the big flashy, everything has to be flashy. And we try to explain, listen, you can go to school to play football and have a college experience, or you go, because it's a stepping stone to the NFL or whatever your sport is to the next level. Not a whole lot of them have next levels, unfortunately, but we'll use football as the example. You're a perfect example where you went to D3 where they don't give athletic scholarships, but you got your money because of grades enabled you to play football. We understand how that works. They worked it out. I mean, once you're down on the field knocking the piss out of somebody, or drill, like you said, kicking a ball is kicking a ball. It doesn't matter, D1, D3, whatever. You're still, it still had to be a supercharged feeling to be able to compete at the collegiate level.
And it was, because like I said, I didn't expect anything more than my senior year of high school, just doing it to play football. And once I stepped foot on that field, actually I got a chance to kick at Buffalo State my freshman year. Was my first game in college, and it was away, and it was a big crowd over there, and I heard stories where you don't really remember your first game because everything's so quick. You just run out, you do what you got, you come back, and then you look back, and it's like, where'd it go? So I made sure that running out in the field, I looked around, I was like, I'm doing it. Like, I'm doing this. And then after I hit that extra point, I went back, and after that, it was all calm and just enjoyed it from that point on because people don't really enjoy it. You're so worried about, like you said, making it to the next level or making it on ESPN. And when you do that, that's when you encounter the problems. When you're just out there enjoying yourself, enjoying where you are at that point, if you're at a D3 school, enjoy it. Enjoy it just as much as if you're a D1 athlete or you're getting drafted. Just like that situation. If you're not getting drafted, it doesn't mean anything differently than if you were. You just have to enjoy where you are and just take it step by step.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and realize that there are so many that don't get to that level.
Yeah.
Right.
That myself, I would have loved to have played any type of college ball. Had to play some semi-pro ball in its place, and it's not the same thing. I mean, I'm. Again, you have different personalities of what you want out of college. But if you're looking for the ability to get a good college education, have fun with that college experience, the social aspects, and play sports, there are tons of opportunities out there. There are the small schools, the JUCO. You've got NAIA. You've got the different associations and, the lower level NCAA. I mean, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. And I think if you shake your head out a little bit and spread your profile out to some different levels of schools and see who you're getting the interest from, that's another thing too. That's sort of the shot of reality. Mm-hmm. You may want to be D1 and you may think you're good because you're good on your team, but when you stack up against other kids nationally, maybe the reason why you're only getting D3 interest or D2 interest or NAI, maybe because that's what you are, and you're just going to have to face the facts.
And that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean you can't take it to the next level.
Everybody peaks and grows at different levels. That's exactly right. I say you take the opportunity, you run with it, you build off of it, and you see what comes the next day.
Yep.
And like Marco said, enjoy it. Man, if you're not having fun, why do it anyway? Right. I mean, you got to have fun.
And what's our mantra? Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Every step of the way, man, have fun. And we know athletes that are doing it that way, and we see some and their parents and whatnot that are it's a chore.
Yep.
Nah, no thanks. No thanks. That's the reality, but, that's just the way it is. Now, Marco, let me ask you something. Okay, so now you're playing collegiately, and you're like, all right, well, speaking of the next level, at what point, or did it ever pop into your head, NFL maybe? Maybe I'm not 150 pounds anymore. I can take some of these guys on. I mean, what? So tell us about that.
Freshman year, it wasn't even a thought. I was still even just happy to be on the field playing college ball.
You were still 160 pounds?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You really bulked up? Bulked up for the college game?
Sophomore year, not much. I was basically just focused on doing well. I had huge shoes to fill after Vinny left, All-American once again. And I was just focused on that. Then I had a great junior year, and my summer going into my senior year, our head coach, Giancola, called me into his office and let me know that there was going to be a couple scouts at our opening game that had called for me, wanting to see things. And he basically said, he's like, look, I've seen you had a great junior year, and I've had this happen so many times before where I don't want to tell athletes that there's coaches coming or scouts coming, because then they put so much pressure on themselves and they don't perform to the best that they could, and that's the worst thing that they could do. So he basically told me, he's like, I have faith in you that I don't want you to do that. That's why I'm telling you. And even for me, who I really didn't even care that the scouts were there, I was more focused on us doing well as a team.
Excellent.
And winning the conference. That was our biggest thing as a family at Montclair. That was just, we didn't care. We knew we weren't going to be on ESPN or any of that, so none of that stuff really mattered. We knew our chances of playing at the next level were slim to none. So none of that stuff, their scouts are going to be there, but that really wasn't important to me. But even for me, looking in the stands, you don't know who's who. So that game, I'm not even going to lie. I glanced in the stands, see who had a notebook or something going on. And after every kick, you think about it. But yeah, that's when it sort of, and I had a great game my first game when they were there. But that's when it sort of started peeking into my mind, like, hey, maybe there's even more of a future than I thought.
Not just a surreal moment, but a legitimate, And you've done well. You've had the NFL workouts. I actually had the pleasure of going to a workout that Marco was doing out at Jacksonville University. Shagged a couple of kicks for him, and was watching in a. And it's amazing. You think, kickers, whatever. Well, Marco's booming it from 60-plus yards, and he was booming it through the goalpost. Strong leg, accurate leg, but the reality is there's a lot of guys out there that can really bang it out. Yeah. And, you're kicking at the AFL level, which, in my opinion, I think it's more difficult. Yeah, you don't have the outdoor elements in the game, but I think it's a difficult chore. But it just goes to show somebody with your talent, as good as you are, and here you're at the AFL level, kind of on the outside looking in, wondering, the NFL. And you've had some great workouts.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's basically being at the right time, being at the right place at the right time. That's what they say. And I've met so many kickers along the way, kickers that I've competed against and become close friends with. A lot of them who are playing in the AFL now are competition level in the AFL kicker-wise is second to none. But I know a bunch of kickers who have even stronger legs than me. When we go to these workouts, 65, 70-yard field goals are warm-ups, basically. Everybody at these NFL workouts are hitting 70, 73-yard field goals, and people are like, no way. Well, the first time I heard somebody hits a 70-yard field goal, I said, there's no way possible. And they do it, but it's how consistently you could do that.
Sure.
And when it matters.
When you get the bodies in front of
exactly.
you. Exactly.
So when you have the coaches at the combines that I did out in Arizona, the NFL combines and all that, when I kicked in Indianapolis, it's basically, you have those big legs during warm-up, but what do you do when it comes down to, all right, you're on the clock now, let's see what
someone's
you got.
barking in your ear.
And that's what it comes down to. So.
Gotcha. That's outstanding. Now, let me bring something up. And for those of you that if you don't follow the AFL or the Jacksonville Sharks, the team that Marco plays for, again, with you being local, I have the ability to see what goes on, and I've been able to witness some fantastic things from a a personal standpoint as far as your involvement in the community. And this is something that we talk about quite a bit to the kids that are in high school as far as getting involved in the community, not just to commit to a requirement and get it out of the way, but to actually embrace it. And you have been exemplary as far as that goes, watching some of the things that you've done. And this, understand, this isn't, gee, Marco, as a representative of the Sharks, we want you to go here, we want you to go there. No, this is all Marco. This is all about you, rolling up your sleeves and trying to do things. Tell us a little bit about that, because, again, for you kids in high school, it doesn't stop there as a requirement. You should be exercising this type of attitude through the college years, and then when you get out of college, you see that it's almost like a lifestyle, choice.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you're involved in.
Well, it was basically when it started out as a requirement, like you said, and I'm sure every program has things, go out and do these fundraisers or do things like that. Mm-hmm. But for me, I had little cousins growing up. I only have an older brother, but my younger cousins always looked up to me. And the littlest things I did for them made their day. So the first time I went out and I did a required event, even with the Sharks, you say hi to a kid or you shake his hand or you do something like that, man, you don't understand the feeling that you get seeing the smile on the kid's face. I'll never forget the first time one of our fans, well, you guys know that they sit right on top of us in our bench area, and he looked at me and all he wanted was a handshake. He was squeezing his hands through the bars, trying to just get a handshake. So I had a ball next to me. I threw it up to him. And when he caught the ball, he looked at his dad, and I'm telling you, that feeling or just seeing that I could have an impact on a kid's life like that, it means the world to me. And I'm just another guy. I don't like when people call me sir when we do our autograph session. Oh, sir, this. No, you're going to call me Marco. Like, I'm your friend. I'm here just like you are. I just play football. That's what it is. And it's basically anything I could do to make somebody else happy or just realize that life's not always so serious. Just enjoy it. You know what I mean? People are going through so many things, and I've met so many people along the way that are struggling with things that I couldn't handle a day in their shoes. So just to be able to put a smile on their face like that, I'm willing to do it whenever.
Well, now what are some of the things that you've been involved with as far as organizations or I know you had a little fella that you sponsored, saw him out on the field and whatnot. Yeah. I know that you were very involved. Was it the Wolfson Children's Hospital?
It was involved with Wolfson's, but it was more the Ronald McDonald House Charities in Jacksonville.
Gotcha.
They had this little boy, Siobhan, my inspiration, I like to call him. He was a little boy from England who was here in Jacksonville getting treatment for a tumor he had behind his eye. Mm-hmm. And he came out to practice one day, and beforehand when I was kicking, he would grab my balls and we would play a little bit. But we became close friends, and from that point on, I knew that I had to do something to give back because these kids, I wouldn't be able to live a day in their shoes or their parents' shoes. And just to see them walk around with a smile on their face, going through all that, it was kind of like I had to do something. So I came, after talking to my parents and my family, I came up with Kicks for Kids, where it was every extra point that I hit was $10 to the Ronald McDonald House, and every field goal was $30 out of my own paycheck. And the Jacksonville Sharks matched that, and we asked the fans to just get involved and match whatever they could or donate whatever they could to that. So we raised a couple $1,000s and presented a check to the Ronald McDonald House, and just helped them because that facility is amazing. You go over there, and these kids are going through so much, but they always have a smile on their face. Those people are doing whatever they can to help make it a little bit easier on those kids and those families. So, like I said, anything that I could do, but not even just me. My teammates are second to none. And it's basically just anything that the Sharks players or any players that I really encountered, they always want to do things. And we get a bad rep sometimes when we can't do things. Mm-hmm. Legally, if we can't do something because of a contract or something like that, or just time restrictions, if we can't, we sort of get a bad rep for that. But majority of the time, if we can do it, we're going to do it. So
that's outstanding. Nice. Well, and again, that just goes to show that, it's something that can become huge. It goes from just a requirement to satisfy to get to the next, step of school or whatever to an actual life experience. And that's really what it's about. And be it making connections or, just, getting involved in an area that you wouldn't normally have a chance to get involved with, you might realize, wow, this is my calling. So there's so much more than it just being a requirement. And please think about that. And parents, sit down with your kids and talk about that, because it can truly be not just a life-changing experience for you and your child, but for those that they affect as well, such as the effect that Marco had. So, think about that. I tell you what, Marco, any closing thoughts? You figure, you've got the podium, you've got the jury's eyes and ears, you want to give any last tips, if you had a few good tips to tell the high school athlete that's looking at their potential to maybe go and play ball in college, what would you share with them?
I just want to let them know that if you have a dream, just follow it. No one can tell you can't do it. If you're telling yourself you can't do it, that's your first mistake. But if you truly believe that you could do it, regardless of what anybody else says, just follow your dream. You're going to encounter obstacles. You're going to fall sometimes, but like Rocky says, it's not how you fall, it's how you get up from those failures. So that's what you got to do. And basically just stay focused in school. That was my biggest thing, because sadly enough, football and any sport comes to an end one day. It's just what you have for your plan B and to fall back upon. And use the connections, use sports, use them all you can to better yourself, make connections,
Absolutely.
Get into the schools that you wouldn't be able to get into if it wasn't for the sports. Use all that, because in the end, it's something that you could add to your resume. And just stay focused, dedicated, and stay humble throughout the process.
Well said.
Very
well
nice.
said.
Very nice.
And if you watch the show enough, and if you look at the information that we supply throughout, our days with the website and with our blogs and the show and Facebook and all of our social media outlets, you hear a pretty consistent message. Be it from the athletes or the coaches or whatever. And we don't just come up with this stuff like slogans for a T-shirt. I mean, this is real life experience that we're sharing with you. And remember, that's the whole intention of this whole show. Our whole business is, to help the kids, help the parents, give you proper guidance. This isn't about us turning a buck. That's not our foundation. That never has been. So when we say, if you need help, contact us. It is as easy as going to the website, clicking on Contact Us, send your information over. Real quick, we had a parent who is heavily involved in gymnastics. Went to a meeting, a couple-hour meeting there at the facility, at the gymnastics facility, had someone talking about recruiting and scholarships and whatnot. Come to find out, the information was totally inaccurate. They questioned us about validating some of the data, and we did all the research for them and came up with an answer. Matter of fact, if you go to viewmysport.com, click on our sports blog segment in our menu, and you'll see the blog item right there. We copied all the information there because we figured if one individual is having issues, by God, there's
Right.
more, not just at that facility. And, we're not trying to disprove or make someone else look bad. We're simply trying to get the right information out there. What you do with it is up to you. So anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed today's show. I know we have, except for a few minor moments that we'll take off air and see how that works out. But please join us next week. We're going to continue to have a phenomenal lineup of guests. I'd like to thank our sponsors that, without our sponsors, honestly, this wouldn't be possible. It takes a lot of effort, time and money to, make sure we put this illustrious, show on the air. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Chuck, thank you for being here, obviously. Marco, thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you for
always
having
a
me,
pleasure.
guys. Thank
it's
you.
awesome.
We look forward to having you again. We wish you the best success going forward. All right, everybody, that's it for another great show of the Breakdown. Just remember, enjoy the ride.